All right, we're back. So, young Goodman Brown runs through the woods. Comes across the devil worshipping ceremony. Your vantage point right now, students and Mr. Camera, that's the devil, this flaming darkness that is giving there to indoctrinate. Turns out faith in young Goodman Brown. And young Goodman Brown winds up here, kneeling before the sable form, black, and Faith is next to him. He also sees his mother, and there's all kinds of stuff wrapped up in here. And we could go on and on and on about Nathaniel Hawthorne's relationship with his mother and Puritans and ancestors. It's all here in the story. And the form says to Goodman Brown, oh yeah, who else is here? So I'm young Goodman Brown, and behind me is everybody. The deacon, the minister, the riders from the tavern, Native Americans, everybody is around him. So the devil, the sable form here, it's not that devil person again, it's a sable form, refers to those people when giving this sort of satanic sermon. Welcome, my children. Now, wait a minute, I'm not young Goodman Brown. I'll get up here and do the devil voice. Welcome, my children, to the communion of your race. So again, Brown's here and all the townspeople, everybody's out and around him. It's a pretty nice party, actually. Not COVID safe. There are all whom ye have reverenced from birth. So the devil says, look around you kids. There's everybody you've looked up to. And guess what? They're all at my devil worshipping ceremony. And then he goes on to list off all of the sins that they committed. Hoary-bearded, gray-bearded elders, whispering wanton words to the young maids of the households, dirty old men. A young woman eager for widow's weeds has given her husband a drink at bedtime. A woman killed her husband and let him sleep his last sleep. Beardless youths have made haste to inherit their father's wealth. You kill your father, fratricide. Unplanned pregnancies. Pregnant young woman dug a little grave in the garden and bidden the devil the sole guest at an infant's funeral. So he rattles off all these pretty bad sins, very bad sins, and says to Goodman Brown, and Faith says to them, evil is the nature of mankind. Evil must be your only happiness. Welcome again, my children, to the communion of your race. A little over the top, people. Hey, none of us are perfect, right? So Goodman Brown has this conversion moment. He does not convert to the devil. He's here, right? And he says to Faith, who's next to him, Faith, Faith, look up to heaven and resist the wicked one. Whether Faith obeyed, he knew not. Hardly had he spoken when he found himself amid calm night. That's right when he wakes up, right? Right when the dream's getting really super interesting, he wakes up. And he never knows if Faith looked to heaven or not. But young Goodman Brown did look to heaven, right? He did look to heaven. He did not go to the dark side. Question: was young Goodman Brown successful in his outing in the woods? Yes. He went into the woods, he walked with the devil, and he did not go to the dark side, right? He did not go to the dark side. When he had his moment at the devil worshipping ceremony, he looked to heaven. So he was successful in his quest to maintain his Christian faith. Is he still messed up at the end? Absolutely. Because he gained knowledge. He gained knowledge of good and evil, and he was not prepared for it. His Puritan upbringing of the simple idea that some are chosen and some aren't, that it's good, pure evil, the Puritans, this is Hawthorne's version of it, did not prepare him for a world of gray. The world is not a black and white place. It is a place full of shades of gray. If only it was as simple as good and evil. We want to believe it is. It's not. It's not. And the rest of his life, and they carved no hopeful verse upon his tomb. Of course, I always laugh. He did have apparently sex with his wife many times because he had lots of kids and grandkids, but he became a stern, a sad, a darkly meditative, distrustful, desperate man because of that dream. They carved no hopeful verse upon his tombstone, for his dying hour was gloom. You don't want to grow up to be Goodman Brown, people. We all, you know, it's like somebody wins the lottery and all they complain about is the taxes they have to pay on it, right? You have the privilege of being a college student, and yet sometimes you'll still complain. I have the privilege of the best job in the world, and sometimes I still complain. Never about you guys, but some other stuff. You know, we have our moments, but you also know people who everything's terrible. Oh, the government's no good, people are no good, nothing's any good. See, that's no good, so therefore everything's no good. Don't be that person, right? Don't be that person. Be wise and understand what Goodman Brown failed to understand, that this humanity is complex, and we have to do our best to be good, encourage others to be good, forgive others when they're not, and just do our best and not be judgmental. Young Goodman Brown spends the rest of his life thinking his garbage doesn't stink, that he's better than everybody else, and that is not good, Goodman Brown. All right, so this is just a couple more things on this story. This is a classic tale. Young Nathaniel Hawthorne didn't create it. George Lucas didn't create it, folks. We've just lived through Star Wars, right? Except they had those cool sword flashlights in Star Wars. But hey, they've got the walking stick in here. What does Luke Skywalker discover? One of the most famous lines never said in a movie. Luke, I am your father. He finds out that the Dark Lord himself, Darth Vader, which is Dutch for Dark Father. We all missed that one, didn't we? He finds out that Darth Vader is his father. That part of Darth is in him, or Vader, I guess they call him. So this is a classic story of growing up. It's this Garden of Eden story. It's a story told over and over in movies and books, and God knows probably video games. And it's a very, very important one, maybe the most important one all semester, because we all face it, right? And I often think to myself, I don't want to become young Goodman Brown. Why do I relate to this story? You all should, but hey, my name's Greg Berninger, GB, right? Young Greg Berninger. Quick aside here, on my honeymoon with my lovely wife, we did a tour of New England, and we ended up in a place I'd always wanted to go, Salem, Massachusetts. Great place to visit, has a lot of silly witch stuff. It also has a memorial to the people killed in the witch trials, and has a great museum, the Peabody Essex Museum, which has a lot of Chinese things. Salem, Massachusetts was the first port in America to trade with China. Very interesting. First colonial port. Anyway, I digress. So we're in Salem, we go to bed, I wake up and I just start laughing. I'm like, I'm waking up in Salem, a newlywed, just like Goodman Brown. If my wife had been wearing pink ribbons, I probably would have jumped out the window, but she wasn't, she never has. I doubt she ever will. So, you know, I always keep that in mind. I'm young GB, even though I'm 50, I still think myself as young. I don't want to become a bitter and angry person. That sometimes happens with age. Even though I sort of know all the bad things in the world, you have to press ahead. You have to do your best and forgive, and young Goodman Brown doesn't do that. And they carved no hopeful verse upon his gravestone.